Welcome into another edition of the AHSAA podcast. I'm Caleb Brooks, and we'll soon be joined by former head boys basketball coach at Oak Mountain High School, Coach Chris Love, who just previously announced his retirement from Oak Mountain High School and from coaching basketball at Oak Mountain. Coach Love has had a fantastic career there. That won the state championship last season at UAB. Made the Final Four 2 years ago for the first time in school history, and he's just done an incredible job there, and has now officially announced his retirement and will be stepping to the side. So looking forward to talking with him, talking about his career, talking about this past season, what it was like for them to deal with being the defending state champs, and just kind of what all that took, and just what his career was like and what ultimately led to his decision to retire. So I'll send it over to that, and we'll give you our conversation between myself and Coach Chris Love from Oak Mountain High School. I want to welcome in Coach Chris Love from Oak Mountain High School to the AHSAA podcast. And Coach, you recently made your announcement and made it known that you will be retiring from coaching basketball at Oak Mountain High School, and have had just a fantastic career at Oak Mountain. And obviously, last season was a just fantastic year for you guys, and a couple of years ago was obviously a fantastic year in getting to Birmingham, being a part of the finals and all that. Making the decision to retire finally, what kind of led you to that, and how tough of a decision was that for you to make that decision?
Yeah, it was very tough. I think ultimately, I think it really is. I've been telling people this has been my 37th year coaching, if you go all the way back to when I was in college and helping out at Huffman High School. And so it's 37 years of being with a team in some form or fashion. And I had gotten to a point, I think, in my time where I think every year I kind of sit down with my family and Sarah, my wife, and we kind of discuss, are we where we need to be to keep doing this job? And for me personally, at that time, I just didn't feel like I had the energy and the enthusiasm that I feel like I need to have to do a good job and do right by the kids in the program. So in that regard, it was, I guess, I knew, people say, you know, when you know, and I knew this was time to step away. But at the same time, to your point, you do this for so long. People joke about, at 3:15 every day when the bell rings to end school, I'm normally doing something throughout the year, whether it's in season or out of season or whatever. And now I won't have that responsibility. And that, there's obviously a stress with that. And that's good to kind of get that off your shoulders, but it's also something that you love doing. You love being around the kids, you love being around the coaches. So, tough decision, but I think it's the right decision right now for me and my family.
Is there any part of it, when you spend your whole career, chasing a championship, wanting to get a championship, wanting to be there, you finally get that. Is there any part of it that is, hey, I accomplished what I wanted to do. This is what we've tried to do for a long time. We finally got it. Now I kind of feel satisfied with what I've done in my coaching career because of that.
That's a great question, Ken. And if I'm being completely honest, probably a little bit of that's true. I will say, I think high school athletics, not to get on my soapbox, but I think high school athletics, we've kind of lost our way a little bit in that we're trying to be like college now. And it's kind of a, win at all costs type of situation in a lot of places. We're doing some things that we shouldn't be doing in high school athletics, with kind of messing with other people's players and stuff like that. And I say that to say that, I never have felt like that we've had to validate our program at Oak Mountain, going all the way back to when I was an assistant for Coach North. When we first started 23 years ago, I think we did things the right way. We did it with class. We did it with integrity. Again, we did it the right way. And that to me is what high school athletics is about. And it's about showing kids, this is how you can be successful. Doesn't mean you're always going to be successful. This is how you can be successful. Doing the right thing is important. Doing it with integrity is important. And that's the important thing. And, again, winning championships is great. Don't get me wrong. These last 3 years have been incredible and I've loved every second of it. But that's truly not what high school athletics is about. So again, to answer your question, I guess, yeah, sure. If I'm being honest, sure. It's like George Costanza on Seinfeld, I'm out of here, but at the same time, I don't think we needed that to validate what we were doing in our program and the success that we were having in our program.
Looking at the last couple of years, you talked about how much you have enjoyed them and all that. Getting to the Final Four the first time, then making it back, coming away with the blue map. Now following up with this past season, now that you're through the year, first time you really were got to feel what it's like to be the defending champ, have that target on your back, have everybody coming at you. What was that like this year for your guys and to deal with that? Everywhere you went, people knew that you guys were the defending state champs and they wanted to get after.
Well, absolutely. We, like you hear people say, we were getting everybody's best shot every night for sure. I will say that I think in our situation specifically, of course, we lost Noah Young and, to graduation and of course we lost Will Shaver to leaving early to go to North Carolina. So I think when we lost Will, I think people's view of us kind of changed and we kind of used that to our advantage. Quite honestly, I think, the number of people that would call or text me when they found out Will wasn't coming back and said, I'm sorry, y'all probably had a chance at repeating if Will was, they kind of were basically saying, we weren't going to be able to do it again. And we sat down with our seniors, Evan and Wilder and Brady and all those guys. And to a person, we all were had the same feeling, which was, let's go prove we can do it with what we've got, left. We've still got a lot of really good players and, let's go prove and show that we could do it. So in a reverse kind of way, we kind of ended up being used as an advantage for us because, and again, in losing Will, I think people doubted that we could do it anymore. So that idea of repeating and the pressure of that, I don't think we felt that. I think we actually, to be perfectly honest, had a chip on our shoulder that we wanted to show that we could do it, without Will, that we still had a lot of really, really good players left that were seniors that wanted to prove that they could get it done. So, It again, and we played a really, really tough schedule. I mean, unbelievably tough. Actually, these last 4, 5, 6 years, we've played unbelievably tough schedules. And, we beat some really, really good people throughout the year. So yeah, I don't know that our kids or even myself or our coaches ever really thought a lot about we were the defending state champion. I think we were really thinking about, hey, look, people are doubting us. Let's go prove that we can do it.
With all that, you had to feel really good about what your team accomplished this year and, getting everybody's best shot, the pressure that was on them, losing the guys that you talked about losing, to still end up where you guys ended up and, being close to getting right back there again. What did you think these guys did well all year that led to that? And then, B, just how satisfied were you at the end of the season with what your team accomplished?
Yeah, no, I think that, we've kind of always hung our hat on being really good on the defensive end of the floor. We had to be different because we didn't have Will. We didn't have that 6'10" guy back there that was able to block shots when we kind of broke down a little bit. So we had to adjust a little bit with that. We had to be a little better on ball defensively. We had to be a little bit better in making sure that we kept people out of the lane. And then the other thing was we had to rebound the basketball, and was really a very, very good team rebounding team throughout the year. Got hurt a little bit towards the end, actually in the James Clemens game, hurt us a little bit. But again, what we've kind of always hung our hat on is defending and rebounding. We kind of feel like that's what wins big games. So we were really good there. but the main thing is this group is just such a special, just great kids, unselfish. They could care less who gets the glory, could care less who gets the points. It's all about the team. So unselfish. Really enjoyed playing with. I had several coaches and officials and parents from other teams that would come up to me and after our games this year and just say, "Man, y'all were fun to watch because y'all were so unselfish. Y'all shared the ball so well." So that was our strength. Our strength was the team. It wasn't really any one individual. It was the team. And then, I think to your second part, I think that obviously right after the James Clemens game, we weren't feeling very good. We felt like we were a shot away basically from going to the Final Four for the third straight year. And so we were very disappointed in that. I didn't do a very good job in that game in the second half of getting our kids where we needed to be defensively. So that still kind of haunts me a little bit. But overall, for us to, our program, really, if you go back 7 years, in 7 years, we've been to 4 Elite Eights, 2 Final Fours, and won a state championship. And not to pat ourselves on the back even more, but the 2 Elite Eights, the Elite Eight 7 years ago, the shot at the buzzer beat us. Mm-hmm. That was we're a shot away from being in the Final Four in that one, and we're literally a shot away, from being in the Final Four in this one. So, really, really proud of our program, and for this group to sustain what it's sustained over the last 3 years with again, last year we had a lot of injuries, had a lot of adversity. This year we still had our share of those things, and for this group to just keep on plugging, just focused on never giving in, never quitting, hashtag grit for us, and just getting better every day. DMGB, doesn't matter, get better. I don't know that a group could have done any better over their 3 or 4 years.
Was there any part of you guys that was sitting there watching James Clemens play for the state championship, just kind of going, man, that could have been, if we make that one extra shot, that could have been us. And then obviously seeing how close the game was, you had to kind of been sitting there going, man, we could have been right there with a chance to repeat.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. My wife, I think she's been more, I don't know what the word is, upset, I guess. And to your point about watching that, like she said to me several times, I think James Clemens played Baker in the semis, and she, and again, this is nothing against Baker. She said, I think we could have beat Baker. And then of course James Clemens beat them, and then James Clemens had a great chance to win it, and she said the same thing after that. I think we could have, I think so. Yeah, you absolutely do. I mean, you're human, you do look at that. But we knew going in that we were a part of a group of teams that had a chance, especially once you get into the playoffs. So we knew going in, and we had played a very, very, very tough schedule. We had played the Huffmans and the Vestavias and the Spain Parks, and the Hoovers and the T counties. And, we had played a really, really the Mae Jemisons who made it far in the playoffs. We had played a very, very tough schedule. So we kind of felt like that we belonged, and that if we could get there, which like we were talking about earlier, it's hard to get there. I mean, it really is. It's you see it right now play down in the NCAA tournament. You see it every year in basketball, since it's such a big tournament game. And it's hard to do that over a period of time. But for us to have a chance, like I said, to do it for 3 straight years, that's very satisfying. But to your point, it's still a little bit disappointing that, we felt like we could have played with any of those teams in the Final Four. Who knows what would have happened? We could have got the dog beat out of us the first game. But, we felt like we would have belonged if we could have got there.
Now, is he with North Carolina right now?
He is. Is
he on the bench and all that part of the tournament?
Yes. He actually, I think during the regular season, he's being redshirted. He's being redshirted. So during the regular season, he dressed and sat on the bench. I think there might be an NCAA rule about the number of people. So he actually is sitting behind the bench now. If you watch the games, you can see him behind the bench in a warm-up suit. And I've seen him in several pictures of their celebration in the locker room, and he's been in the locker room, and we've actually texted a little bit. He sent a really sweet text when I retired, and you know, I've been texting him all the way, and I think I said something like, "I imagine you're having a lot of fun right now." And he said it's been a blast. So he'll be, you know, I think they're expecting big things out of him starting next year.
How crazy is that for him? You know, last year he's playing for a state championship at Oak Mountain and everything, and then you know, a year later now he's about to be a part of the first ever Duke and North Carolina, you know, NCAA tournament game, and you know, he went to Duke for Coach K's finale and was on the sidelines for that, and it's amazing, you know, some of the experiences that some of these guys get once they leave high school and go to some of these colleges that they end up at.
Oh, it's been incredible. He's been, you know, again, like I say, when we've texted a little bit that we've texted over these last couple of months, he's just giddy. I mean, he's just so happy and just so excited and having so much fun right now. And interestingly enough, he said, "Coach, they're working me." He said, it's tough. It's hard. He said, it's a different level, you know? So, but yeah, and it's a little bit, you know, to look at it and say, you know, that guy played for us last year. My son, both my sons played with Will on the front and the back end. And, you know, they get a huge smile on their face when they're watching the game. And it's like, you know, that guy played with us at Oak Mountain and is doing great things. And Will was such a great kid for us and did such a great job for us that it's nice seeing somebody that's a good person that does it the right way is having that success. So yeah, it's pretty neat, pretty awesome.
Another individual that I feel like has been really big at Oak Mountain High School, not just in basketball, but in football as well, is Evan Smith. And kind of just talk about what you saw from Evan early, you know, when you first saw him as a young 8th grader, 9th grader. What did you kind of see him having a career like he's had when you saw him back then and watched him play as a younger kid and kind of watched how he was?
Oh yeah. I mean, you know, it was a no-brainer with him. And, you know, I know people, you know, say a lot of this about players, but you knew Evan was special athletically. I think that's obvious when you watch him play football or basketball. But when you get to know Evan, which I knew Evan just a little bit through middle school and stuff, but everybody that talked about Evan, everybody that comes in association with Evan just talks about what a great kid he is, how humble he is, how you know, what a great teammate he is. So you put that together with, you know, again, really athletic kid. And then the third part to it with Evan that people, I think, really grow to appreciate Evan is unbelievably competitive. Probably one of the most competitive kids I've ever been around, but also he's competitive in a quiet way. You know, I wish we'd charted all of our competitions in practice over the years and how many times his team won. You know, I would bet that probably I would bet on the 90% side of his team winning in practice most of the time. And it didn't matter if it was the first practice of the year or if it was the last practice. I tell the story all the time about him when Zane Nelson, who was kind of our MVP of our team that made it to the Final Four and got beat by Lee Montgomery. He and Evan had a great relationship and competed against each other. They were great friends, but they competed against each other. And every day after practice, Zane would take one of his teammates. Evan would take one of his teammates. It was usually Noah and Trey Sullivan, I think, and they would play 2-on-2 after practice, and they would have knockdown dragouts out there while I'm in my office, you know, watching film after practice or whatever. And Evan and Zane would just go at it. And again, you would think, well, after practice, you know, they're just having fun. I mean, they're competing and they're trying to win. So no, not surprised at all. Again, Evan, unbelievably humble kid, a hungry kid, a competitive kid, a tough kid. I mean, Evan wasn't right this year. Evan will be the first to tell you. He came out of football with a knee injury. So he had to take some extra time to start the season. And then after, I don't know, maybe he had played in 6 or 7 games, he hurt it again. had to stay out. I mean, I think he missed out of our 31 games. I think he missed 12 of them, 13, 14, and didn't practice a whole lot throughout the year. So he never was himself. But what I told him when we met at the end of the year is that I think I was more proud of him this year because he was such a warrior. He was such a warrior. He still led us. He still was competitive. He still wanted again, he's going to Northwestern. He's going to a Power 5 school to play college football. He could have phoned it in, especially with his injuries. He didn't. He wanted what was best for us and our team. And he was an absolute warrior this year for us. And like I say, I don't know that I'm not more proud of him for what he did for us this year than what he did in the previous years when he was probably a little healthier.
How much do you feel like that, the basketball team next year that they're going to have and the football team, how much are they going to miss just his leadership and what he provided? I mean, I remember meeting him as a sophomore, and I didn't know he was a sophomore, just how he carried himself, the way he talked and all that. And I remember when I met him that year, I met him again, as a junior. I was like, dang, man, you're still here? He's like, yeah, I got one more too. And I was like, good Lord, because he carried himself so well at a young age. I mean, he looked like a senior from a physical standpoint, and then also acted like one. And so, I mean, just his maturity, his leadership, how much is that going to be missed with the two teams this next year?
Yeah, I don't even know that you can even describe how much he's meant and how much it's going to be missed. And you're dead on. Again, he's a great player, really athletic, and we're obviously going to miss that part of him in our football and basketball program and in our school. But more than that, his leadership and his competitiveness and his toughness, and his just going about things the right way, and just being an unbelievable leader for the people in each of our programs and for everybody in our school. Indescribable how much he's going to be missed. Those kids are, and we had a lot of kids very similar to that in our program these last few years, which is what made them so special. But you don't get kids like that, especially nowadays, as often as you would like. He's kind of the full package. And, it again, to be as another part of it too about him, Caleb, this really everybody he's so humble. Like him walking around in the halls, you would never know he's a big time, college athlete, and done what he's done for both the football and the basketball program. You would never get that feel from him at all. He's just a very laid back, humble kid and comes from a great family. And so, he's going to be missed terribly. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm looking forward to seeing how he does up there at Northwestern playing football, especially for it's a great program, a great school, and it's a great opportunity to go to a place like that and play Power 5 football.
Right. Well, and it's funny. I tell another quick story. When we during the last 4 years that he's been with us, whatever the situation was, whether we thought it was a tough matchup or, again, Evan had some injuries throughout the years. One of the things we always ended our conversation when we were talking about Evan in the coach's office amongst our coaches is, well, it's Evan. Evan's going to figure out a way to get it done. You never doubted him. And to your point about going to Northwestern, I think people are concerned about his size and whatever and all that sort of thing. But I'm telling you something, I don't doubt him. He will figure out a way and he will get it done. And I have no doubt we'll be reading about him doing big things up there.
You said earlier, you said when you add up me helping in college and doing all that, I've been coaching basketball for 37 years. And obviously the game of basketball has changed a lot in those 37 years. How much has it changed, from your perspective, and how have you had to change as a coach because of the way that the game has changed over that time period?
Yeah, it's changed a lot. I watched the film. Donald McMahon, who is our varsity assistant, who played for us. He was a freshman in 1999, the first year that the school opened. He was a freshman on our varsity. And I actually had a VHS. I've got several VHS tapes that I've been cleaning out of my office. And back during the season, I popped one of them in. And it was us playing Homewood. We were in the area at the same time, and Coach Shepler was still there. And it was half court offense, and both teams were running their stuff and just turning it over, not turning the ball over, but the continuity of their offense. They just kept on running it until they got the shot that they wanted. Both teams were just great defensively. But what was interesting about watching it is that the game was played at a much slower pace. And the use, I say this all the time, the use of the dribble in the game of basketball has almost totally changed the game, because, the dribble drive is the big offense that everybody really, I guess 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago started running. When Coach Calipari was at Memphis, that was the big offense that everybody started running. So the use of the dribble is so much more prevalent in the game. So now defensively, it used to be you really were guarding an offense, and you were guarding where the ball was. And now you add into it, you've got to guard possible penetration and drives toward the goal with the dribble. So it's changed, I think, the pace of the game. I think it's changed the speed of the game. I think it's changed. I think you have to do more defensively than what you've had to do in the past. I think I think you have to be able to guard it all. You got to be able to guard the pass, the drive, the 3-point line, the post player. I think it's just more of high quality type basketball. And then the other part of it too, I think the skill level is much higher now. I think you have more teams have multiple kids that can make shots. More teams have kids that can really handle it and can really get downhill and get to the rim. So it's changed a lot. I think practices have changed for us. Back when Coach North was our head coach and I was his assistant, and Coach North is my mentor. He's the reason that I'm a basketball coach today. And the reason I have the knowledge that I got from him. Our practices were very drill oriented. You didn't do a lot of team stuff. Now I think you do a lot of 2-on-2, 3-on-3, 4-on-4, 5-on-5. You play a lot more. I think you have to kind of get done what you want to get done in practice. I think it's just that I think the kids today. I don't want to knock the kids today. I'm not one of those that say that kids today are different. I don't think kids are that much different than they were 30 years ago. I think their attention span is a little shorter, so you have to make practices a little more competitive to keep their interest. So I say all that to say, going back to 30 plus years ago as compared to now, I think the game has changed tremendously. And I think probably for the good. I think it's the game is a little more up tempo, is played at a little bit faster pace, which probably makes it a little funner to watch. I love defense, so I could sit there and watch a 28-26 game and love it. Most people, don't enjoy that part of it. So, a little more high scoring, again, played at a little faster pace. So I think it's changed tremendously and probably for the good. I hope the shot clock, I'm not a huge shot clock proponent, but I'm for it just because it's the way the game is played at all different levels. I think that can help a little bit, progress the game a little bit more. But for sure, it's changed a lot over these years.
How many seconds do you want on the shot clock for high school?
I think to start with, to me, I would prefer 35. And I think that's kind of what the state's suggesting. Just because I think the lower you go to start with, I think it is probably going to get a little uglier. I think 35 seconds is probably about the right time to where you can kind of adjust to it and get used to it. Because obviously you're going to have early, you're going to have secondary break, you're going to have early offense, and then you're going to have late clock situations. So I think 35 seconds, I think, give the coaches and the players a little bit more chance to adjust to it. I think that I also don't think that I think people are going to be surprised at, especially the first few years, at who it helps. I think people tend to think it's going to help those people that play fast and it's going to hurt those people that play slower. A lot of times the people that play slower they don't really play slower. They're just really good defensively.
Mm.
And if you're really good defensively, I think a shot clock really helps you. So I think people are going to be surprised, I think, a little bit by who it helps the first few years. And then I think over time, I think everybody adjusts. And you go for, I think you'll probably see, you'll see a little more zone pressing. I think you'll see people play a little bit more zone just to make it tough to get an early shot and now put people in a late clock situation. So there'll be some adjustment to it. And I think it's going to be ugly some. But I think in the end, it's probably the best thing.
You think we'll see a lot more comebacks at the finals and those type of situations with the shot clock coming in?
Sure, absolutely, no question. And what the example I'm fixing to give, this is James Clemens did exactly, Coach Sutherland did exactly what they needed to do. So this is not in any way taking a shot at them. We would have done the same thing. In our game, I think we tied it up, and I think they had the ball with 2.5 maybe to go in the game in the fourth quarter, and they decided to kind of hold it. And I think just that situation is now different. Now we're not forced, which we did kind of come out, and we tried to change our defenses and kind of giving them a little bit of pressure without giving up anything easy. Of course, ultimately we did give up something easy, which is my fault. But I think like that situation changes that game so much. And I'm not saying we win. Please understand, I'm not saying that at all. But again, we don't have to change who we are. We can sit back, force them to go late clock situation, force them to have to shoot it, and see what happens. So I think that situation, is 100% changed. And then I think to your point, absolutely, I think you're going to see a lot more comebacks. I think now, a relatively big lead is not safe anymore. So that I think will be exciting. I mean, I think that's part of the shot clock, argument. That's a very positive thing. I think the game is going to be interesting all the way to the end of the game because of the shot clock.
Without a shot clock, I mean, 5-second calls, things like that. Was that something that y'all stressed a lot more as a coaching staff late in games of, teaching your guys how to get a 5-second call and the way to get a 5-second call because of how important that was?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We talked all the time, that obviously when the other team was holding it, we didn't want to just sit back. We wanted at least for them to have to deal with the official sitting there and counting and the pressure of that. So yeah, you absolutely dealt with that. And then, the trapping and stuff like we did against James Clemens, and they did a great job of finding the open guy against us. But the trapping and the rotations of your defense and stuff. And again, to that point, like we would not have done that, with the shot clock. And again, please understand, not making an excuse at all. James Clemens did exactly what they needed to do. But we would have sat back and we would have stayed in our gaps and hopefully made them try to make a tough shot, as opposed to feeling like we had to get out and scramble and kind of make things happen.
For a while there in 7A, Mountain Brook was obviously running things with Coach McMillan there. They were winning consistent state championships. They didn't drop down to 6A. Since then, there's been a lot of parity in 7A, in my opinion, when it comes to who's been, just even who's making the finals in different years. I mean, with James Clemens getting there this year, now Baker's made it twice. You guys got there. I mean, how much do you think that's helped things in the sense that we have seen a lot of different teams get there year after year, and we've seen multiple teams, like in football right now, it's not a knock, but Thompson's won 3 straight. We're heading into next year, and everybody's saying Thompson's the favorite to win it again. Next year, we don't really know who the favorite is in 7A basketball going into next season. And do you think that's helped the interest in basketball grow even more with the fact that, we don't just have this one team we're going, well, it's going to be them coming and dominating and walking away with another state championship this year?
Yeah, no question. I think you're 100% right. Going into the year, I mean, I think all coaches do this, going into the year, our coaches sat around and, we're looking at it, and that's literally what we said. We literally were all, it could be anybody. Our area had a lot of really good teams. The teams up north, the 2 areas up north had a lot of really good teams. Obviously, down south, Baker was really good, and so I think the parity in 7A, I think these last few years have absolutely made it more exciting. And it's when the more teams you have feeling like they have a shot, I think it just naturally is just a more exciting time. And you don't know what's going to happen. And again, Enterprise, wins it this year after being in the Final Four the year before. But obviously in that game with James Clemens, it could have gone the other way. Spain Park really, really good. Baker really, really good. The teams, there was a lot of good teams left in 7A that weren't at the Final Four.
Yeah.
And then again, that gets back to about how tough it is to get there. So I think the parity is awesome. I think if there's two 7A teams playing, you need to go watch. It's going to be really, really good basketball, really, really well. The coaching is great. And it's not saying the coach is not great at the other levels, it is, but the coaching in 7A is really, really good players. Just in our metro area, there was our area of Huffman and T County and Thompson and Spain Park's area with Spain Park and Vestavia and Hewitt and Gaston City. There's some really good basketball games that you have a chance to go and see. And I think it's great. I think to your point, I think that's probably what you're looking at this next year. I think there's a lot of good teams out there that are going to have a chance. And it's that one shot, you get hot at the right time, you make that one shot, or you just shoot it really well one night, or you don't shoot it really well one night and you're going home. And that's what's great about basketball. That's what I love about basketball, the NCAA tournament, our high school tournament. It's just, it's so exciting and fun and stressful and pressure, and seeing how everybody reacts to it. It just makes for great environment and great basketball.
After being in the last two finals, did it make watching this finals any tougher to, be watching it on television or be watching it from the stands than being on the sidelines?
Oh, I'm being totally transparent. I didn't watch it.
Okay.
I couldn't watch it. I couldn't watch it, because you do, and that's just me. I'm sure most other coaches watch it like I do. I sit there and say, God, I just replay. What I end up doing is replaying our game. And if we'd have done this or that, most of the time is if I would have done a better job, that could be us there, playing. So I watched bits and pieces, to be honest with you, of the James Clemens and Baker game. And then Chris Latch is a really good friend of mine at Spain Park. And so I watched a pretty good bit of that game. But other than that, I don't watch a lot of them just because it just hurts.
Yeah, no, I understand. Have you been to the new Legacy Arena since they renovated it?
I have been. Absolutely gorgeous. That's the other thing that when we won it 2 years ago. Again, UAB is great, and I loved having it at UAB, but because of the COVID restrictions, you didn't quite get the environment that you would normally have in a normal year. So that was the other thing that was kind of like we were really looking forward to, if we had the opportunity to play in at the renovated Legacy, because it's gorgeous. And what they've done there is just awesome, and just a great event. And our high school association, and I know they get some knocks sometimes, but our high school tournament in the state of Alabama has got to be one of the best around. And I know there's talk about, where a couple of the regionals are and stuff like that. But I think they're doing everything they can to get it where, and maybe some better arenas for those two regions. But it's incredible. The regionals, you go to the regionals, they have everything taken care of. You feel big time. You feel big time when you get to go to the regionals, and then you go to the Final Four at the Legacy, and it's just, they do an incredible job. The meeting that you have the day before or the week before the Final Four, where all the Final Four coaches get together, and that's special. And so anyway, just a huge shout out and applause for the high school association and Jamie Lee, who's kind of in charge of the basketball side of it. We're very, very lucky in the state of Alabama to have our tournament like it is, and to kind of mirror, honestly, the NCAA tournament, which is pretty special, and they do a great job with it.
So you're down in Mobile right now at South Alabama visiting your son at spring break for you guys at Oak Mountain. I'm guessing a lot of trips like that are going to be in your future now that you're going to have a little bit more free time on your hand.
Yes, me and my wife and my youngest son stayed at home. We had to have somebody take care of the dog. But me and my youngest son play golf down here on Sunday, and we plan on making a lot more trips like that, coming down and playing some golf. And yes, these type of trips will be. I don't think I can keep my wife away, not only from my oldest son, but also from the beach down here.
Yeah.
I think she would stay out there 365, 24/7. So we'll probably be making a lot more trips like this, and yeah, just to kind of enjoy. The other thing about coaching, especially basketball, is like, I tell people all the time, Thanksgiving and Christmas is just not the same. And because you're playing in a tournament. If you're not playing in a tournament, you're practicing. If you're not practicing, you're getting ready for the next. It's just, you don't really get to enjoy that time. It's just like, I guess it's just like right now for their spring sports, baseball and softball and soccer, maybe, because, they don't really get to enjoy spring break, but basketball is kind of a double whammy, because you got Thanksgiving and Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's. And
you don't get Martin Luther King Day off either. You got to play or practice on Martin Luther King Day.
Yeah. That's right. Exactly.
President's Day too. So
yes. So kind of hits all the holidays. So it'll be nice not having that, I guess, that stress on you, because I don't care who you are as a coach, and I think most of us coaches do a good job of, when it's family, but it's still kind of always hanging over you, that next practice, that next game, that past game. You're always having those sorts of thoughts. So it'll be nice to be completely stress-free from that, and enjoying those holidays and that time with the family.
Are you going to you plan on going to some games still next year and being around some, or are you one of those that, once I step away, I want to step fully away and just kind of let the next guy have his program and be able to do his thing?
Well, my youngest son will be a senior.
Yeah.
Eli, and he was on the team, hoping that he makes the team his senior year. So if he does, then obviously I'm gonna come and be a dad, and that's one of the reasons, kind of part of why I did what I did. I kind of just wanted to be his dad his senior year and not be his coach. I know people talk about wanting to coach their son, and yes, there's some great things about that. I've been able to coach my youngest and my oldest, but it's hard. It's there's times where you just want to be a dad. And more importantly, there's times where they want you to just be a dad. And that's not to say that I think we did a good job. We didn't talk basketball once I got home or anything like that. But if they had something they wanted to share with me, I was the coach, so, they didn't have that dad experience of being able to come home and say, talk to dad about this or that. It's going to be nice. It's going to be nice to just be his dad and cheer him on up in the stands. He actually said to me when I was talking to him about retiring, he said, and I said, "Are you okay with that? Because if you're not, then we'll do it again." And he said, "Dad, it'll be nice to have you up in the stands as a dad." So when he said that was like, okay, we'll go this route.
So what, you golf obviously and do that a pretty decent amount, and you'll have a lot more time to do that. What are some other hobbies that you do, or things that you feel like you'll be doing a lot of, now with having more time?
Yeah, I like, I like working out in the yard. I'm not going to say I'm a gardener, because I'm not a great landscaper type guy, but I like having a nice lawn. I'm one of those guys that cuts the grass probably too often. And I'm one of those guys that changes the direction that you cut the grass, and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, working out in the yard. We've got some things we need to do. My wife's, typical, got the honey-do list, and I think she's ready for me she's already given me, a lot of stuff that needs to get done. Probably working out in the yard and things like that. It's funny. I mean, Caleb, I do enjoy, playing golf, and I think that's where I'll get my competitive outlet. I think that's the one thing I think that coaches have in common. I think they're just competitive people. I think, and there's different ways to get that outlet. I think for me, it probably will be a little bit on the golf course and beating myself up because I'm not very good. But that'll be one way. And then, again, just spending time with family and, again, like I said, we've got a lot of things we need to do around the house and kind of taking care of those things. But it'll be interesting. I know there's going to be some times where I'm really missing it. And, I'm sure there's going to be some times where I'm not really missing it. So it'll be interesting. I think it'll be an adjustment for me and for my wife, Sarah, and having me around the house more. I don't know how much she's going to like that, but we'll try to figure that out as we go. But I don't know. Honestly, Caleb, there's a lot of unknowns right now for me. I think I'm excited about it, and I'm excited for our program because I really think it's what our program needs. Our program needs a shot of youthfulness, of energy, of enthusiasm that I just don't feel like I can give. And I'm excited for both parts, for me and my family, and for our basketball program.
Well, Coach, congratulations to you on a fantastic coaching career with all that you accomplished, and especially with what y'all did over the last 3 years with your program there, and getting it to Birmingham, getting it a blue map and bringing it home. And it was a lot of fun. I appreciate you always being open to me coming by the school up there and allow me to come talk with your guys, talk with you, spend time with you. And I'll miss seeing you up there at Oak Mountain when I do come by, but I really enjoyed our time of getting to be together, and I look forward to seeing you around at all the events here in the future.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Caleb. You do a great job for high school athletics, and I really appreciate it for all you guys and what y'all do for us. And I can't thank you guys enough. I was joking with Alec Etheridge and Kyle Parmley, who are two of our local news guys, Shelby County Reporter and 280 Living. And, back when I played, you had the newspaper and they did little excerpts of the games. You'd call in the information about the games, and they had listed stats and stuff. And, obviously now it's all social media and what you guys do. And that's important. It's important for kids to be getting noticed, and for teams and programs to be getting noticed. So again, just thank y'all for doing that. And I know it's a lot of hard work and a lot of travels for you, but thank y'all so much for everything y'all do to support high school athletics. And please continue.
Yes, sir. You have a good one, Coach. Thank you.
All right. Thank y'all.
That'll do it today for us on the AHSAA podcast. I want to thank Coach Love for taking the time during spring break for them to come on and join me. I know he's down in Mobile with his son, and they're on a trip down there and doing some things. So I appreciate him taking the time, coming on, chatting with me, talking with me about, what all he had been through as a coach and what this past year was like. And very interesting to listen to him talk about, making the decision to retire with his son being a senior. I'd forgotten that his son, I thought his son was a senior this year, actually, and I've forgotten that his son was actually a junior and will be a senior next year. And so, a lot of guys would probably have waited one more year, and he said he wanted to be a dad. And I thought that was very interesting to hear. And he made a good point. I played for my dad. A lot of people that know me know that. And he brought up some interesting points. Me and my dad have a really good relationship with each other, but there were times where the fact that he was the coach, I was the player, did affect that relationship while you're playing. So it'll be probably a really great experience for him to step back, be a dad, and kind of get to watch things from the outside. And when you look at Oak Mountain, I don't think that program is going anywhere. I think you're going to continue to see them at the top of the state, even without Coach Love being there. So that'll do it for us today. We'll be back on Friday with another episode of the AHSAA podcast. If you're just starting to listen to these, you can find them on Apple, Spotify, other places that you listen to podcasts, and the video version goes on to YouTube as well. New episodes every Tuesday, every Friday. Go to YouTube, type in R&B Media. There will be a picture of a group of guys in the picture. And please subscribe to our YouTube page, and you can keep up with the podcast there and a lot of other things that we are going to get going. We have some cool videos, I think, that we're planning on doing and planning on getting in the works that I think a lot of you people be interested in. So make sure to subscribe there on YouTube. If you haven't yet, go like our Facebook page. Just type in AHSAA Radio Network on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Give us a follow there. And we look forward to continuing to bring these episodes to you each and every week.